warning, the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond since 2011. You're listening to the RCWR Show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, good kind of people, what's going on? Lee Sanders here of the RCWR Show for Thursday, May 6, 2021. What is going on, guys? I know, weird, right? We're here on a Thursday, but it's for very good reason. Hopefully you are following me all throughout social media. I had a little bit of an emergency. Nothing too major, but it was definitely serious. I'll get into that in a hot second. Nothing life-threatening or anything like that, but it was an emergency without a doubt. So we weren't able to do a show for you guys Wednesday night. So I do apologize to you all, but I did tell you guys when I gave you a heads up throughout social media that I would be doing a show for you all to make up for Wednesday night tonight. And I got a little bit of a double whammy tonight because aside from doing this show, I am going to be coming back in a few hours after the premiere of Dark Side of the Ring has wrapped up. Remember, we're supposed to be getting part 1 and 2 of the Brian Pillman Jr. story. So I'm looking forward to that. I know that Vice had went on ahead and they put out the first episode, from what I understand, that's been out and about on social media. And I think that's good and everything. But for me, I want the complete picture. I want to be able to sit there and just one take. I want to be able to watch both installments and then just so I'm looking forward to watching the premiere, man. You guys know I've been showing Dark Side of the Ring, and it's a great team of Evan Housney, Jason Eisner over there. I've been showing those guys a lot of love, just the way that they have gone about producing the stories of some of those wrestlers. When it comes to really being unbiased and just going right down the middle, good and the bad, of these Dark Side of the Ring episodes, I definitely have been since episode 1, and I'm going to continue to do so. So I'm looking forward to that season 3 premiere later tonight. We got a nice little loaded up show for you guys, though. You know, time really is not the enemy. If anything, I am going to need to check with the missus and just make sure, you know, she's good and everything. So yeah, let me kind of set this up properly for you guys, so you guys have a better idea of what was going on last night and everything. So I would say yesterday afternoon, literally right before I was about to take my my class, my girl had sent me a text. And actually, no, I'm remembering it wrong. Forgive me. I'm remembering it wrong. I actually had received the email letting me know that, hey, you know, here's your second appointment to go get your COVID vaccine. If you guys remember, I had actually helped set my girl up so that she could get her vaccine and all that. I'm fully vaccinated, but she had a hard time getting herself set up. She went through the same outlets I went, but she wasn't getting anything. So I finally went in there and I basically was able to get the results. So we already got her first COVID vaccination. And so I have been checking the emails right after about the week and a half period. Okay, it should be that time, because when you're getting the Pfizer one, it's 3 weeks. 3 weeks in between doses, basically, till you get that second dose. So I happened to see the email for her yesterday, and I immediately, because it was in my email, so I immediately called her and I said, hey, you know, I know you're at work. I know you got a hectic schedule and all that, but this is what's up. I want to let you know the times that I see available. So yeah. And then she right then and there has said to me, is there any way you can come up here later in the evening and see me home? And I'm like, such an odd request, because I mean, she normally does not, you know, she's pretty much up and at 'em. She goes just boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, what's going on? So not to give you guys a long-winded story or anything like that, but basically, uh, there was this unruly employee that she had been dealing with for a handful of months, and there was a lot of resentment from this individual. This individual did not like the fact that my girl was her boss. She didn't like that. And she would try to undermine every single little thing as far as a mandate goes that my girl would put out there, for the office and everything. And it was getting so bad that a lot of times when it came to constructive feedback, when it came to some type of disciplinary action, be it verbally, a warning, this girl was always trying to go over her head and go talk to the boss. And it was really bad. I mean, there were a lot of times where my girl was coming in here, and all she would moan and groan about was, that woman. And I told her, I said, why are you letting somebody have so much real estate in your head like that? Like, seriously, you need to just, be about that money. That's a bunch of unnecessary bullshit that you got going on there. Fuck all that noise. That was my message to her. Fuck all that noise. Squash it. And but she had a hard time. She had a hard time doing it, and I think that's largely in part because she's not really a fan of conflict. But as I've told her over the years, none of us in the workplace, we don't want to deal with conflict. We want to be able to get in, make our money, be in and out. But you know what? You're going to deal with some type of conflict in some type of form, sadly. It just fucking comes with its territory. That's just how it is, straight up. So she been going back and forth with this girl for a couple of months now. And it reached an all breaking point late last week going into this week. And without going long winded on the details, I can tell you one of the things that just it was not cool. This young woman, like in her early 30s, this young woman was making fun of a new hiree that they got up there at the practice because of his sexual preference. So she is egging on this other, co-worker who knows how to do her job, is pretty good at it, but is impressionable. You got usually one of those in your group of friends. They're impressionable. They'll pretty much monkey see, monkey do. They'll play along because it's the cool thing to do or whatever. So she kind of fell into that little trap and everything. I know, right? 2021. Why the fuck should one even care about one's sexual preference? Like, what business is it to you? Like, why should you care? I mean, it's ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, they were making fun of this guy, and I felt really bad too, because my girl told me some of the things that they had said about him. They did not think that he was anywhere nearby when they were hearing this, but he happened to be like not really in the back, but he actually happened to be in an area where he heard every single thing that was said. So he went to my girl, because that's who he answers to and everything. And my girl basically relayed that information to her boss, and this woman had already got written up, for her attitude and all that other shit. And they pretty much went on ahead, they decided to let her go. Yesterday afternoon, they decided to let her go. So, they did it kind of wrong, I personally felt, because they rolled her up a day prior, but then they have her come into work the next day only to basically fire her about less than 3 hours late. I didn't agree with that. I think, honestly, as soon as that person gets there, boom, that's when you do it. As soon as they've clocked in, boom, that's when you do it, right then and there on the spot. Then you fucking send them away and everything. That's how you do it. But they went on ahead, they fired her, and from what I understand, my girl's boss had said to her, because she actually walked this woman out of the building, and she said to her, you may want to have somebody walk you home tonight. And my girl's like, wait, what? What are you talking about? She's like, oh, just, she didn't say anything threatening or anything, but just looking at her whole overall demeanor and all that, you may want to have somebody make sure you get to your car safely and all that. Maybe you should call Lee and see if he'd be willing to come up here and all that. And so that's how we ended up not doing the show last night, was because of that was going on. So I felt a lot relieved, understanding what all had really went down and everything, because I was kind of a little bit rattled and all that. But yeah, I'm still kind of mind boggled by that. I'm not shaken in any type of way. It's just, I've never heard of somebody having such resentment for somebody because they basically want what they have, and be so jealous of any awards, accomplishments that person has been able to obtain. And it's like, okay, well, if you want those things, if you want those same accomplishments, if you want to get that same recognition, it's just all about stepping your own game up and trying to make yourself excel to that level. That's what it's all about at the end. You got to put in the work. If you're not willing to put in the work, you ain't willing to put in the time and the dedication, then you're going to be exactly right where you are. I mean, that's just life. That's just how it is. So I kind of found that to be weird, that this person operated the way that they did. But, not to make it be a race issue too. But, I gave it to my girl right between the eyes. She understands, but she doesn't understand, because she's always been the type of person. She loves any and everybody. It doesn't matter if they're Chinese. It doesn't matter if they're black. It doesn't matter if they're Hispanic. All she cares about are the character traits. That's what she cares about the most and everything. But it's kind of like what I told her. I said, look, tensions are pretty high right now. It's like, you watch the news, you got two set of eyes. You see the shit that's going on with, these cops that's killing unarmed black, brown minorities. You see what's going on with that. So unfortunately, you got some minorities that look at whites as public enemy number one, whether they wearing a badge or not. They look at them as enemies. Because where my girl works, she's pretty much the only white person that's up there. And she happens to be the boss for that office administration part, right? She's in healthcare and all that. So, and this woman that she was having issues with was black. And just some of the stories I would hear, I mean, it was a combination of jealousy and also, excuse my French, fuck you, whitey. Kind of disturbing. Now, some of you guys that may hear that, and you may be in an interracial relationship or marriage, or you've got, friends that are black, brown, pick a card, any card. Some of you guys may hear that and be like, nah, really? Like, let me say this as we segue. There's an interesting piece of news that came out this week out in the New York area. I would encourage you to look this up if you haven't already heard about it already. Our society is so fucked up right now, especially with our younger people, this younger generation that's coming up. We had a young black woman, probably 18, 21 years old, that was on a subway train out there in New York. And she walked up to this older Asian woman and just started punching the shit out of her and said to her, "You don't belong here. Go back to your country." Now, I just want you to stop and think about that for a second. We've heard some hate crimes in our time. We have. But just really stop and marinate on that for a second. A black person says to an Asian person, you don't belong here. Go back to your country. Boy, I tell you. Sometimes I hear shit like that and I just go, man, if MLK and Malcolm X were still around, I guarantee you, and they heard that story, I guarantee you their stomachs would turn and they would be pretty goddamn disgusted by that. I don't think I need to elaborate more on that. That's just the type of toxicity that's been going on these days, man. It's fucking quite sad. But you know, I'm glad she's okay. My woman, that is. I'm glad she's okay and everything. Cause I gotta tell you, I took a lift going up there, and I was really, really like, hope she's okay. Hope she's okay. Hope she's okay. Cause I texted, I said, I'm coming. Is the office locked? You locked it up? She's like, yeah, it's locked up. You know, I'm good to go. Apparently they didn't get the key back. This girl apparently had keys to the office. I'm like, did y'all get the keys before you fired her? Like, no, we didn't get I'm like, who the fuck dropped the ball? How do you fire somebody and you don't get the keys to the office? Nah, it wasn't my call. It was the boss. They were supposed to get the keys. I'm like, okay, so when are you guys going to get... So apparently this girl was supposed to pop up today and return the keys. Hopefully, last I checked, the keys were not returned yet. So, yeah, kind of one of those type of things. I'll let you guys continue to marinate on that. Other than that, pretty damn good. I mean, this has been a fantastic week for me. I wrapped up my English class for the semester, and I've got a A in my class, so I'm happy with that. Also, I think I said it on Monday's show, but for those of you that didn't check out Monday's show, I actually had won an award for all of my writing in English class that I've been doing this semester. And it's a huge honor. It's a huge honor to get, because my professor was telling me, you make sure you put this on your resume because this is pretty big. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, cool. So I had won that. Apparently there's like a little cash incentive that's tied to that. There's also a nice little prize package that I'll be able to pick up in person once campus is, open on a full-time basis for students to attend. Also, there's a certificate, pretty much a certificate of that award that's going to be waiting for me as well once the campus opens. So all those things, pretty damn good. And then I was elected to the Student Body Council for the 2021-2022 academic year. So that's like, oh, yay, because it's funny. I was minding my own business a couple of months back, and somebody, like, I don't know who, I wish I knew who, somebody nominated me to be on the student council. And so at that point, it was just a matter of, do you accept this nomination? Because if you accept this nomination, then you're going to be put on the ballot. People pretty much are going to go in, they're going to vote, yada, yada, yada. And a couple of days ago, pretty much the results came in, and it was, congrats, you've been elected to be part of the student council. I'm going, oh, okay, shit, this is badass. So we did that. The first meeting was actually just a couple of hours ago. We literally wrapped up a little bit after 4. And it was fun. It was fun. Pretty much the outgoing council was pretty much letting the incoming council, me and a few others, know what was going on, what to expect, maintaining that relationship with the students and all that. And then we got to a part where it's okay, we need to select a new president and we need to select a new vice president. And so this one girl, totally awesome. I like her. She seems pretty cool. Rebecca, she actually won the right to be the president for the student body council. And then when it came time for, okay, who's going to be her vice president, everything, it was just so organized. I gotta say, it was very structured, well structured, nice bullet points. when it came time for the vice president, I actually was nominated for vice president, and I'm going, all right, I'll take it. I accept that nomination. And the next thing you know, like, we had a three-way. Believe it or not, we actually had a three-way for this shit. And it felt like it was dragging out because I was about ready to just say, you know what, forget it. I'll back out just to kind of speed this along or whatnot. And it was kind of cool how they set it up because they basically had said, Rebecca, she was like, because she pretty much took charge. She said, okay, we got a three-way. This is what we're going to do. Each one of you needs to let us know why you personally feel you would be best equipped for this position. And it wasn't no joint where you had to talk like for 10 minutes, go on and on and on. So, I said my piece for like about 90 seconds, like literally 90 seconds. And that was it. And then there was a private vote because it was a three-way. So then there was a private vote. All the votes went privately to Rebecca so she could review them and all that. And then out of that three-way, I don't know. I guess some of the folks that were there liked what they heard me say. And I pretty much had won. I won that. So, I mean, this week is fantastic, so... good things happening for the Sanders household, I gotta say. And then T-minus less than a month to go, and I finally am going to be tying the knot. Technically, I have been a common law husband when you really stop and think about it, but now it's going to be official, less than a month from now. Already got the honeymoon plan and all that. I am so fucking excited, man. I'm happy right now. Kind of follows up on a post that I had put out there all throughout social media the other day. Too blessed to be stressed. If you kind of feel like sometimes some of the shit that's going on in your life, if you feel that there's a lot of drama, a whole lot of, you just got to try to do your best to separate yourself from all of that negative energy, put yourself in a really good position where you got a lot of positive shit that's going on. You feel where I'm coming from? Look, I know some of you guys probably don't care about some of this stuff, but there is a lot more to life than just the world of wrestling. Yeah, you feel where I'm coming from? So it's kind of nice to be able to do these nice little, side chatters and talk about, shit that's actually important, shit that kind of gets you thinking a little bit, get your gears in motion and kind of inspires you to want to try to do a little bit better for yourself and your family and all that. You dig? So I did watch AEW Blood and Guts. I watched this week's NXT as well. And I know about the ratings. We'll get into the ratings later on in the show. AEW Blood and Guts overall was a decent show. I will definitely say that. Overall, it was a decent show. Didn't particularly care for the finish, but overall, it was a decent show. Let's go over the results here for this, and I'll sound off on what I thought about some of all the action that went down on the card here. I'm letting you guys know right now, my dog is actually in the studio with me, and she is getting a nice, good sleep on. So you're probably gonna hear some snoring in the background. You just listen real closely. You can definitely hear her snoring. First matchup of the evening, Michael Nakazawa teaming up with Kenny Omega, taking on Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston. I didn't mind this opening up Blood and Guts for the simple fact, okay, look, we're seeing the AEW World Champion in Kenny Omega. I didn't mind that, but I was really hoping that we were gonna get a really good, tag match and all. It's kind of funny too because, when we went into this match, there was no sign of Kenny Omega. No signs of Kenny Omega. So it appeared Michael Nakazawa was going to be going at this match alone, and it was going to be a 2-on-1 handicap match. But then Omega, like out of nowhere, decided he was going to do a nice little surprise attack on Moxley and Kingston. But despite that, this was mainly about Michael Nakazawa in an ass kicking contest. He pretty much the one that was taking all the lashings there from Moxley and Kingston and everything. It's very weird, like, because when you just think about the storyline, remember what I had talked about on last Wednesday's show, which is available on demand and on the downloads. I said to you guys, of all the things that Moxley, Kingston could demand, particularly Moxley, of all the things he could possibly want, when it counts the most and you got yourself a king's ransom and everything, you decide, I want a tag match, and I want that tag match to be against you and Nakazawa at Blood and Guts. And that for me just kind of, that's it? Just a tag match? Fuck that. Let's up the ante. How about Moxley taking on Omega for all those titles, or putting up the AEW title, or just the storyline of it was quite silly. I personally find very, very, very silly. So, going into this match, I didn't quite understand the logic. I could never escape the logic in seeing this match and everything. If I remember correctly, the team of Moxley and Kingston, they did win. Post-match, Young Bucks, they came out. Interesting choice of colors for this week, as they were wearing nice Hawaiian shirts and all of that. I mean, somewhat of an eyesore, I gotta say, man. I gotta say. But you know what? Look, when it's all said and done, I respect their hustle, because they're having people talk about them on social media. It's one of the first things that's being said. Oh my God, what the fuck? Did you see what the Young Bucks were wearing this week? So I mean, they're I don't know, man. It kind of makes you wonder if they're maybe taking a cue from Seth Rollins or something. But anyway, yeah, they came out, causing a distraction for Kingston and Moxley. That pretty much allowed the Good Brothers to come in for a beatdown. Kenny Omega, Brandon Cutler come in there as well. Omega giving Kingston the one-winged angel. And if I remember correctly, you know what? That was actually in the Cody match. I was thinking about some British flag, but that actually was in the next matchup. Cody Rhodes taking on QT Marshall. Look, man, appreciate Cody, man. Seriously, I appreciate Cody. Cody can take the worst possible situation and do his very best to make it decent, if not better. So I always like that most about Cody, and when it comes to his matches, that's the one big compliment that I can definitely give on Cody Rhodes, is that when it comes to Cody and his matches, it seems for the most part, just when you look at like everything that happens on Dynamite Weekly, as a fan, you've just gotten to that point where, you know what, Cody is involved in what? Oh, okay, cool. Cody's stuff, whatever he's involved in, it feels most completed. It feels most well thought out. And it's going to be entertaining. It may not be a 5-10 stars entertaining type of deal, but you're definitely gonna be walking away saying that was actually pretty good. Match he had against QT Marshall, I enjoyed it actually. For what it was worth, I'm still not that QT Marshall. I'm still not. I don't think I'll ever get there either. I don't think wrestling fans that are truly unbiased and are checking out wrestling from multiple promotions, or just even if it's a case where you're just checking out one promotion but you're very truly unbiased, you can see both sides of the same coin. I just don't see how majority of fans can still, what I'm saying, I don't see the majority of fans at I don't see that. So I'm hoping that with this performance that both men put into this matchup, I felt it was a decent build up leading up to this match. Yeah, I hope that this is it. I hope that, all right, this one match, he lost. That's pretty much it. We're moving on. We're just moving on. Because I mean, my whole thing is this. In order for QT Marshall to essentially go to that next level that, he needed to go to in his career and everything, did he need a little bit of a rub from Cody? Depends on who you ask. It really does. But you know what? For me, I'm going to say, well, it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt for Cody to, let's see what happens. So now that essentially Cody has pretty much served as that prelude. You dig? Now that he has served as that prelude for QT Marshall, now it's time to see, okay, what can QT Marshall and his entourage, let's see what they can do just on their own. Let's see who they can kind of mingle with next and everything. Me personally, I wouldn't mind maybe seeing QT Marshall and crew ruffle the feathers of Christian. That's just me. I wouldn't mind kind of seeing that explored a little bit. So that's something I think AEW should strongly consider there. And maybe, just maybe, while you have that intertwined with what Christian has going on with Taz and all that, somehow you can kind of make Christian, Taz, kind of get on the same page there temporarily or whatever. Not an official alliance. Christian isn't part of Team Taz, but you understand what I'm saying? Maybe you can kind of go along those lines, but at the same time continue to go that path that the Taz Christian story angle has been going. But that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts about that one. But this whole Cody QT Marshall, it reminds me a lot of what was going on earlier when Shawn Spears had first came in and he was feuding with Cody. It almost kind of reminds me of that literally. So I'm most curious to see what happens with QT Marshall going forward. I want to know, though, there's one part in the match where, remember when they had that exhibition match, Cody and QT? Cody talked about how he wasn't going to do the crossroads. He wasn't going to do the figure 4 leg lock. He was going to try to be very sportsmanlike, be very professional and all that. I want to know, what the hell was it that made Cody bleed last night? Because, QT, he's pretty much throwing a middle finger at Cody. And Cody just pretty much, fuck you too. And because he has one of QT Marshall's legs, so he pretty much just wraps him up, puts him in the figure 4. And then all of a sudden, as he's putting some torque on it, he's kind of elevating his upper body with his arms, and he's putting torque on that leg lock. All of a sudden, right side of his face, he just starts busting up, bleeding. I'm going, what the hell happened here? He's just bleeding from applying a figure 4 leg lock. Like, I hate to see what happens when he gets that next cable bill, and it's over by like $150 because of a bunch of shit that was ordered on pay-per-view. I would imagine he just, like that scene from 1 Hour Photo with Robin Williams, and he's just in the middle of some aisle, and next thing you know, the camera zooms in and his eyes are bloodshot red, and then they just explode blood. Like, I wonder if that's what's going to happen with Cody when he sees that next cable bill. Shit. But decent matchup, I gotta say. It was actually, of all the matches for Dynamite, that actually was one of my favorite matches. Then we had a really cool spot where we got a recap of some of the stuff that's been going on between Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, Sting, Darby Allin. It pretty much had led into a talking segment with Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. And they pretty much were just, talking about the history with Allen, trashing Sting and everything. Allen just freaking came out of nowhere. And you know what? This was a really fun environmental fight. I felt I actually had enjoyed this because where they were outside, but they were at the what was it, the what's the grounds that they call that too, the Daly's place. They were at Daly's place, but where they were outside, and they were somewhere high above, like on some steps or whatever that could maybe take you to the stadium or whatever. And they just did this really cool beatdown of a brawl. And for a little bit, Darby Allin had the upper hand, and then all of a sudden, numbers game. It was just too much. I was thinking maybe Sting was going to get involved in this, but no Sting. There was no Sting involved in this whatsoever. And I just fucking cringed when Scorpio Sky and them threw Darby Allin down those concrete stairs. That for me, I legit, I fucking cringed when I saw that shit. And I had shades of two things. Two things really stood out to me when I saw that shit with Darby Allin. Actually, three things. One of the first things that clicked in my head was when Brock Lesnar threw that, God, who's that one-legged guy? Zach Gowen. I was reminded of when Brock Lesnar had threw Zach Gowen down the stairs on that infamous episode of SmackDown. And then I'm reminded of another incident where Randy Orton was beating the living crap out of Mick Foley, and he threw him down some concrete stairs. And remember back then, Mick Foley, man, his mindset back then, if we're going to do this, really fucking do this, go ahead and please kick my ass. I'm begging you. We want to make this look good for TV. Really beat my ass. The third instance, I remember there was a joint where there was something involving Mick Foley, and I want to say maybe Evolution. And I mean, they were just legit punching him in the face in the ring, if I remember it right. So I was just reminded of some of those moments instantly when I saw that spot there with Darby Allin going down the concrete stairs. And I was just, I hope this guy's okay. And then luckily, we did the whole picture-in-picture, PIP, as I like to call it, and we kind of see what's going on with Darby. He's being checked on and all that. To do stuff like that, and you're not even doing it on a pay-per-view. That's my biggest kind of, you're not doing it on a pay-per-view. I mean, Darby's young, I get it. He feels invincible, and he's willing to do all this crazy shit and all that. Like, I respect that. Truly, I do. But when you keep doing shit like that on a regular basis, eventually, them injuries are going to catch up to you. They are. And before you know it, you know what? Darby Allin is what? Like, maybe, no, he's not even in his 30s. I think Darby Allin is maybe, 25, 26, 27? Probably 28. I'm leaning more towards 28. So, my God, he continues to operate the way he's operating right now on a regular basis, let alone on free TV. I guarantee you that style, by the time he's 35, I mean, he's going to be moving around like an old ass man. So, longevity, man, got to play that shit smart. I just felt shit like that was just totally unnecessary. It really was. I mean, I dug it when there was a trash can, like a legit hard plastic trash can. I believe Scorpio Sky grabbed it and pretty much hit Darby Allin with it. Visually, I thought all of that was cool. Just all of it, everything was good. I just felt that even though visually seeing Darby Allin go down the stairs was badass, I just felt that it wasn't needed, especially on TV. It just wasn't needed. Save that type of shit for your pay-per-view, man. But I can't wait to see the receipt that's going to be cashed in. Once Darby has licked his wounds, Sting's back in the whole equation, and they pretty much, yeah, we got something for that ass. Hey, how you guys doing, man? You guys enjoying the show so far? If you are, please, if you haven't done so already, make sure you go out of your way and you hit that like button, you hit the subscribe notification so you always know about new content that's coming your way. Also hit that bell notification. When you hit that bell, ties into your subscription, man, ties into that. That way you know about all new content that's going to be coming your way here. But good shit right there. Britt Baker pretty much had a squash match against Julia Hart, not to be confused with Julie Hart, the ex-wife of Bret Hart, not to be confused with the Hart Foundation, not to be confused with the Hart family. Julia Hart has no relations whatsoever to that Hart family. Her name is just Julia Hart. Squash match with Julia Hart, Britt Baker going over on that one, doing a lot of showboating and all that. Really nothing more you can put into this. By the way, if I remember this correctly, this was our only women's match on the entire Blood and Guts card, and I was a little bit disappointed with that. I legit was, because I just felt that, wow, we couldn't, I don't know, Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker one more time. We couldn't do, you understand what I'm saying? Sheeta, we couldn't have her in a non-title matchup. I mean, we got AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view that's going to be going down later this month. This is now's the time to start properly building up some of these main events that we're going to be seeing, because it was officially announced on Blood and Guts that Sheeta will be defending the title against Britt Baker at Double or Nothing, in one of your main events there. So I just kind of shook my head at that, wow, we only got one women's match for Dynamite this week. Okay. Jurassic Express taking on the Varsity Blondes, SCU, and the Acclaim. This was a triple threat. SCU advanced. Because of winning this match, they, being SCU, earned a future tag team title shot. So this was about 9 minutes and some change of a match. It felt kind of obvious that SCU was going to win this, especially with the heavy emphasis that the color commentators were putting on about, if SCU, if they don't get it done here, then this is pretty much it for them as a tag team. You know that they don't want to end their story like this, not this way. You know they want to try to go after those tag titles. So I don't really see SCU getting those tag titles away from the Young Bucks next week, but stranger things have happened. So we'll wait and see. Get a nice video package of Jon Moxley and his upcoming match against Yuji Nagata. Moxley in this video package was talking about how he chose Nagata. He wanted to defend that New Japan title against him and everything, and that Nagata showed him the ultimate, disrespect, by not reciprocating that respect that he gave to him, not being reciprocating and paying it full, paying it back and everything. So Nagata, as far as Moxley is concerned, yeah, definitely aware he's a legend, matches that he's had, but against me, it ain't gonna mean nothing. He's just a regular, so he's looking to prove his point there. So Kenny Omega and Michael Nakazama, meanwhile, they joined Tony Schiavone as they pretty much were hyping up Blood and Guts. Kenny Omega saying, I like how he worked up the crowd. and pretty much was saying to them, Blood and Guts, it's pretty overhyped if you ask me. It's kind of funny he mentioned that because we'll get to that. We'll get to that main event match. So we learned that with regards to Double or Nothing and Kenny Omega defending that title, apparently there are two number one contenders that's going to be going at it, and whoever wins this will come away facing Kenny Omega for the title at Double or Nothing. These two men that will be facing each other is Pac and Orange Cassidy. And I just loved how Omega was very, very overly animated in just dismissing Orange Cassidy. You know, he wanted Pac. He's like, hey, this is a guy that has beaten me before. This is a guy that has taken me to my limits. You know, this is what the fans want. Let's give them what they, you know, he wanted to face Pac. He was ready for Pac. Pac. You know, he was ready for him. See, Pac. He was ready for him. But just the idea of Orange Cassidy, it's a fucking joke. It's like that's a waste of his time. He essentially, the vibe that you were getting as he was just verbally cutting down the size with very little he was saying of Orange Cassidy. This guy shouldn't even be in the same ring with me. Well, you know what the fuck, Orange Cassidy. Man, nah, let's go ahead and flip all that. We don't need to do no Orange Cassidy versus Pac. Nah, let's go right to Pac. Pac versus, let's go there. But yeah, it was pretty cool. So obviously the way this is kind of looking here, it's safe to say, foregone conclusion, Cassidy is going to be the one to, unfortunately, I know it's gonna, irritate and upset some fans, but look, stranger things have happened. I could be wrong, but it just feels that the way this storyline is going, no. Double or Nothing, Orange Cassidy, Pac. You ask me personally, how do I feel about that? I'm okay with that. Look, Cassidy ain't winning the title. He's not winning the title, but even I can't deny that some of the matches that Orange Cassidy has had these past couple of months, some nice quality shit. Hell, don't you guys remember? If it wasn't last week, it was definitely a couple of weeks ago. I remember putting over the match that he had against Penta. And I told you guys how great of a technical match and just how highly entertaining that match was. So, you telling me that we could possibly be seeing Cassidy and Omega? Oh, and there's going to be actual fans in attendance? Oh, yes. Sign me up for that. That should be pretty damn good. By the way, speaking of fans, somebody was at AEW, somebody I know, because they were posting some information in the Discord. And if you guys can bear with me here, I can actually try to get the official number. Hang on a second. Hey, what was the official number for fans in attendance? I want to say it was 1,500 in attendance at Dynamite last night. I think it was 15,000 that was in attendance, or like 1,000. It was either 15,000 or 1,500. One of those two. I'll know in a couple of seconds. But the fact that we're gonna be doing this Double or Nothing pay-per-view, and we're gonna have actual fans in attendance and all that. Yep. They had limited it. I just got the information in real time. They limited it to 1,500, but no number yet. That's what it was. So yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty damn good. I'm looking forward to that. It's great to finally be at this point with the pandemic and all, where hey, look, you go get that vaccination, you stay on top of it, and you get fully vaccinated, you can get back to doing the regular things that you were doing before this pandemic even started and everything. Go make those plans with those loved ones that also got fully vaccinated and everything. It's nice that we're finally getting to that point where finally, I mean, we still got a lot of work to do, but we're almost there, man. We're almost there. And as you see, we got MLW, who else? Impact, Ring of Honor, if I'm not mistaken. All these promotions have already got the ball rolling on, hey, this is where we're going to be bringing the action to, and fans that want to attend, here's the info and all that. So WWE, all eyes on them. So that was a nice little setup, though. We did get a nice little face-off between Omega and Cassidy. It wasn't much. Cassidy didn't say anything. Omega just pretty much took his shades off, said, you borrowed quite a few things from me. And one thing you borrowed from me, I see here, is the shades. Nobody wears these shades better than me. So he actually confiscated Orange Cassidy's shades, put them on Michael Nakazama and everything, and pretty much said, as far as you taking something from me, it ain't happening. But me taking from you, it's like, well, you saw what I just did. And Orange Cassidy just stood there. He just, well, Cassidy's going to have something planned next week. He is. He's going to get back at him for taking his shades, his $800 to 1,000 pair of shades. Shivani didn't go anywhere. As we came back from a commercial break, he was joined by Miro next. Miro talked about how he's got a contract and that he's going to be facing Darby Allin for the TNT title next week. No matter how injured Allin is, he doesn't want no forfeit. He wants that TNT championship. As far as Miro's concerned, Darby Allin thinks he might be injured right now. Well, Miro has it his way next week. Darby Allin's going to be even more injured. So I'm happy to see this with Miro. I gotta say, Miro went through a very, very weird phase there when he first came into, AEW. It kind of felt like our boy was going through almost a identity crisis, like really trying to reinvent himself and everything. It was really, it was rough watching him. It really, really was. It was almost like he was trying to rediscover himself there. And now that he's pretty much just gone back to the Bulgarian brute, you know what I'm saying? Now that he's gone back to that, I will be talking about MLW as far as the news. They made some pretty big news, but that's all I'm going to be talking about with regards to MLW. Yes, I am seeing what you guys are saying in the chat, by the way. But I like the fact that he's gone back to basics with regards to, hey, this had worked. And that's the thing. It's like, hey, when you have something that works really well and it resonates with fans, they're clamoring over it, they're behind you, and, they're supporting you and all that other shit, why shake it up? Why do a 180 when it was so successful, especially when you were just starting to really scratch the surface and reach that pinnacle of untapping and maximizing the most that you could out of that particular character and all that. So it's really nice to see him go back to that Bulgarian brute that, fuck everybody, take no names. Fuck I'm just going to crush everybody, crush everything that's in front of my path. I love that. I love seeing that. So I'm very excited to see what's going to be happening with Miro going in the future here. It's looking good, though. It's looking good. I'm glad that they kind of got him away a little bit there from the whole Kip Sabian, Penelope Ford. I didn't understand that whole dynamic. I really, really didn't. It always just kind of, nothing against Kip Sabian or Penelope Ford. Nothing personal against them. I just always felt that, nah, this isn't the way we should be bringing in Miro. Not like this. Not like this. So I'm happy to see, where he is right now. And that should be, like I said, that should be a damn good match going on between Miro and Darby Allin next week. That should be a damn good match. I will talk about that, Daniel, in the chat. I will talk about that, but I'm not going to be long-winded about that. So let me get through. I see y'all talking with each other. I'm just letting you guys know. I do see what you guys are saying in the chat and everything. So I got you guys covered, though. Just, kick back and enjoy. Let's see. All right, so our main event match, Pinnacle taking on Inner Circle. Look, good match. Good match. Me personally, I'm down with the whole 2 rings together and all that, but this is my whole thing. Why not just cut that middle rope? Just cut that middle rope. Why do we need that middle rope there? I don't understand that. I never understood that. As I was watching Blood and Guts the entire time, I just couldn't help but go, why do we need to have that middle rope there? Why don't we really have some fucking fun here? And we got this big ass ring. We can really go all over the place and shit. We can play to one side of the arena. We can play to another side of the arena. Why do we have this middle rope here? Let's just go on ahead and let's get rid of it. If somebody wants to do some cool little moves and all that, or they've got all these other sides that they can do. We don't need this one middle rope that's basically separating the 2 rings. We don't really need that set of ropes there. Just fucking ditch that shit. That was probably one thing that was just kind of, and I don't want anybody to go, nah, Lee, you're nitpick. No, I have felt that way for a long time, especially when it comes to the whole war games and shit. I've always just kind of felt, I don't know, it's weird because when I was in my late teens, I didn't think nothing much of it. But then when I got older, it was just kind of like, just get rid of those middle ropes. I just wish there was one promotion that decided they're going to do, a match so big, we've got to have 2 rings. Well, if you're going to do that, okay, cool. But you really don't need that middle rope there. I mean, unless I'm missing something, I definitely would love to maybe understand more from somebody that builds rings. So shout out to those of you, because, we usually have some independent wrestlers, some independent ring crew people. They make their rounds checking out different podcasts, things like that. So from time to time, I hear a little something from them. Whether you want to comment publicly or you want to reach out to me, private DM or email, I think that's a fun question to know, especially if you want to remain anonymous. Convince me otherwise. If there's a reason why we gotta have there be that rope there for the middle, let me know. But I just kind of feel like we should be able to get away with that. Good match for Blood and Guts. It was good. It was good. Wasn't really a fan of the ending. I gotta tell you, I wasn't a fan of the ending. So let me see if I got this straight. So closing moments of this matchup: MJF, Chris Jericho, top of the steel cage. They're beating the shit out of each other. MJF, he grabs like, I think he had like his ring or some shit. He's got like his ring. He's getting ready to load up the, that fucking diamond. He's getting ready to load that motherfucker up and everything. And next thing you know, you're looking at this. Next thing you know, you're kind of going, where are we going here? Is somebody being thrown off of this steel cage structure? We getting ready to see a really cool ass fucking, like, something pretty major is about to go down. What exactly are we getting ready to do here? So MJF, he loads up the Dynamite Diamond, and I mean, he just pretty much square fucking silly. He takes out Jericho, and there MJF grabs Chris Jericho, threatens that he's going to throw him off the top of the steel cage structure unless Inner Circle surrenders. And Sammy Guevara, we concede, we give up. I didn't like that. I'm sorry. Match was good. Hear me out. Especially you hardcore AEW fans. Match was good. Stupid finish. Because, we're always reminded constantly. Chris Jericho. This is the Chris Jericho that has beaten The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin in the same night to become the first ever undisputed champion. You think about the multiple times that Chris Jericho has been a tag champion. You think about the multiple times that he's been a world heavyweight champion. You think about some of the all-time greats that he's faced. How he's faced Triple H. How he's faced The Rock, the Steve Austins. Hell, the Ricky the Dragon Steamboats, the Shawn Michaels. The list just goes on and on and on and on and on. And granted, Chris Jericho did not give up, right? He did not give up. Now, it's interesting because I was in the Discord earlier and somebody asked me, okay, yeah, it was a crappy ending. Lee, how would you have ended it? How would you have ended things? Because when it was all said and done, Jericho still went flying off the steel cage, but the way that it basically was, he went crashing into an air mattress. When it's all said and done. Soft props like a motherfucker. What you thought was maybe little steel plates was not steel plates. It pretty much was rubber. There's a whole bunch of other shit. Now, look, hate to burst the bubble, but yeah, it happens, the props, right? But how could you go around that, make everything seem pretty badass, make it seem more cool and everything? And what I said to the person, I said, simple. Have everything go down the way that it was going down, but when you get to the final moments there, and MJF says, I'm going to throw him off this steel cage if you guys do not surrender, then I think what should have happened was you should have had Chris Jericho, kind of disoriented or whatever. You should have had Chris Jericho say, no, keep fighting. Forget about what happens to me. You guys keep fighting. Nobody quit. And, MJF, he could have continued to fucking, pound the hell out of Jericho and everything. And, Sammy Guevara, that's the one thing that I will say. If you really kind of take a step back from just a fan standpoint and you just look at the way the relationship has played out between Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho, Sammy looks at Jericho almost like that older brother, almost like a father figure to a certain degree. So to see Sammy Guevara be so passionate, be so concerned, remember, let's give AEW props here. There's consistency here because remember, when the shit was going down, give me a second here. This is actually important. Okay, we're good. When the shit was going down with MJF possibly taking over the Inner Circle, remember it was Sammy Guevara that was very, very concerned and, was trying to give Jericho the heads up early on. And Jericho just felt that Sammy was being a bit too overcautious, being too oversensitive about the situation, and that he just needed to loosen up. But Sammy had the best intentions for, Jericho, for his well-being and everything. And then, look at what happened there when it came to the big reveal about what MJF was plotting and everything, and how Sammy, pretty much had came to the scene there, and as we all kind of learned per Jericho, hey, MJF, you don't think that we all in the inner circle are talking with one another? You know, shit that's being said to us individually or whatever. Like, you don't think we're talking like that? Like, come on, man. So there is that loving affection that Sammy Guevara has for Jericho. So I think the way that when you really stop and think about it, that's actually been played up and built up pretty well these past several months in AEW. So for it to be Sammy Guevara that says, no, 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 you know, we quit, you know, we quit. No, 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 please don't do it. We quit, we quit, we quit. Call the match, call the match. I understand it. I understand it. But it doesn't mean I have to like it. It doesn't mean I have to like it. I think honestly, if it were me, considering everything that I just said, first of all, nobody said when it came to the rules for that match that the only way to win it was by pinfall or what is it? An official submission, right? Like, no, we're going to put you in a physical hold and we're going to make you tap out. Nobody said those were the only two. Submission can come in another form, such as what Sammy Guevara did. We give up, right? I would have left all of that in. I think the one thing that I probably would have changed was I actually would have had Chris Jericho as best as humanly possible. And see, here's the thing that I don't understand. Maybe Jericho and a couple of those guys were, but I'm gonna just focus mainly on Jericho. I don't know if he was wearing anything padded, but what I would have done from a booking standpoint, I would have said, and I would have made sure Jericho would have been okay with it. Chris, look, we want to make this really exciting. We want to make this really fucking interesting. How about MJF? He still throws you off the cage and everything, but, you know, to really, really bring home the visual effects, why don't we, you know, have you go through some stuff and, you know, maybe we can kind of create the mirage of a electrical explosion or whatever. You know, maybe we can kind of, you know, have you go through debris, but there's like wire circuitry or some shit like that. You know, what do you say? You down for that? And if Jericho, yeah, let's fucking do it. Then just think about that for a second. Just imagine if he would have went through the same area. Fuck the fact that there was rubber, steel. Fuck all that for a second. Just hypothetically speaking. Yeah, just picture it if he went through, crashing through all of that debris. And then you just saw sparks flying, electrical stuff and all that, you know, all over the place. And then you got the entire fucking inner circle. They're going in, they're checking on Jericho and everything. And that's pretty much how you go off. I think that would have been a better visual presentation going off the air as opposed to, you know, shit, Vince McMahon is what, damn near 90? I know I'm exaggerating on his age, but, you know, Vince McMahon is so old, like, and we've seen him do shit like that. There's like a video from, what, 2 years ago? Last year's WrestleMania weekend, as a matter of fact, leading into WrestleMania week. There's that infamous video where Vince McMahon was trying to show Gronk and a couple other people, you know, how to fall from some structure, you know, and he fell, you know, pretty much he almost did like a coffin drop like Darby Allin on his back to like a matted canvas or whatever. It was nice and padded and all that. Check it out if you haven't checked it out already. But yeah, I didn't like that. That was my only gripe. I mean, other than that, violent, fucking bloody, had that War Games vibe to it. I loved it. I fucking loved it. It felt a somewhat of a tier, at least this one, it felt a tier better than some of the NXT War Games or some of the WWE War Game events that I've seen and everything. You know, so a good show. that was really built up and built around one particular match that overall, despite the finish, overall did deliver, because this main event match went on for like about 35 minutes. So pretty good. Pretty good, honestly. Pretty damn good. I definitely would say the show overall, I enjoyed this show. As far as looking at all the stuff we've gotten so far this week, it was definitely better than the NWA Power Surge episode we got. It was better than this week's Raw. I've kind of clocked out on Dark and Elevation. I've just kind of clocked out. Nowadays, I just pretty much look at the card, and unless there's a particular talent I want to see, I've clocked out on that. So, but it's definitely been better than no shows for this week. But yeah, it was good. It was good. I definitely have to say it was actually a pretty good show. And to the point, I see the ratings had came in for this week's Dynamite. And if you bear with me a second, I can actually share with you guys the numbers here. Officially, this week's Blood and Guts edition, it did a 1.9 million for viewers. 1.9 million viewers. As far as the 18 to 49 demographics go, they scored a 0.42. So, I mean, that's pretty damn good. Uncontested, that's pretty damn good. So, congrats to AEW for that. NXT did pretty damn good as well. They also saw their numbers go up as well. Let's go ahead. Let's talk a little bit about NXT now, and then we'll get into some wrestling little tidbits and all that. Like MLW. We'll get to the MLW stuff. I gotta say, as far as NXT goes for this week, some areas pretty good. As far as the match for the entire NXT card, I gotta give a lot of props to Isaiah Swerve Scott, Leon Ruff. That Falls Count Anywhere match, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a instant fucking classic as far as I was concerned. You guys that's been checking out the show as of late, I've been telling you how much of a big fan I've become of Swerve Scott and Leon Ruff. And it's so funny because sometimes when I'm in different chats or forums, I refer to Leon Ruff as Cheeseburger. And it's so funny because some people, they go, no, that's not Cheeseburger. And some people like legit get upset. They go, that's not Cheeseburger. Cheeseburger isn't ROH. And I usually post the Superman gif with the joke, the joke over the head, And I have had to tell people I'm just trolling. Like, I know he's not Cheeseburger, but he reminds me a lot of Cheeseburger. And it's like to the point, wow, could you imagine Cheeseburger and Leon Ruff as a tag team? Like, I don't know if it's already happened because I don't, usually watch ROH religiously like that. But could you just see, if it's happened already, my bad. I got catching up to do. But for the sake of the argument that they haven't done it yet, that'd be kind of something. Leon Ruff and Cheeseburger. I think that'd be an interesting tag team. I don't know what you would call them. That's where I'm a little bit kind of confused. I don't know what you would call them. Rough Cheese? I mean, you got me. But their Falls Count Anywhere match, I loved it. I fucking loved it. I see big things happening for these guys, especially Swerve Scott. Swerve Scott, I mean, he's got that ultimate, the one you want to hate vibe. Not that go away heat. No, he's got that good heat. I love it. He God, his promos, man. I mean, his shit is money. Anytime they show him in his little Dr. Dre studio, you're like, oh, I don't know about you guys, but those are like my most favorite as far as the Leon Ruff promos. I don't particularly care for the stuff in the ring and all that when it comes to the promos. Give me the shit where he's doing his thing as Dr. Dre in the studio. I'm glued to the set because I want to know what's going on. I mean, he got mad swag. I got to give him a lot of props. Good ass match. Those boys went about 15 minutes. well deserved. You know, they were very deserving of every single minute that they had got to open up NXT, really setting that tone and everything. Personally, I wish this would have closed out NXT instead of the women's tag title match. And I'll explain more when we get to that match. The way they interrupted, in case you missed it there, by the way, as far as who won that, Swerve Scott. Swerve Scott picked up the dub there. The way interrupted a meeting between William Regal and Scarlett. Gargano talked about how he was the #1 champion and looked at Scarlett as he was saying it. Theory, meanwhile, he couldn't believe how huge and were they real. And of course, you're kind of going, where are we going with this? You know, hope we're not going there. He actually was referring to Scarlett's nails, not her boobs. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, we'll leave it at nails, okay? Yeah, those nails are pretty damn good, okay? But no, seriously, as a result of, I guess, touching Scarlett, maybe that's, because we kind of got a insta-feud. That's the new thing I'm dubbing it now. I'm going with insta-feud. We got Instacart, I'm going with insta-feud. Because Scarlett apparently went and told Carrion what went down, and pretty much they whispered in William Regal's ear, hey, Austin Theory, we want his ass in a match next week. So next week it's going to be Austin Theory taking on Carrion Cross. I got a lot more to say about that whole Carrion Cross thing too. We'll get to that in a hot second. Asher Hale was pretty much in a squash match against To The Moon Cameron Grimes. Afterwards, Cameron Grimes, we see he goes to this club and he's ready to have himself some nice action. But apparently, when he's talking to the bouncer, his name is not on the list. Excuse me, but I believe I'm on the list. List? There is no guest list tonight. Shout out if you remember that song. So Cameron Grimes pretty pissed off about that, wanting to know, and no. Cameron Grimes, what do you not understand? Well, it turns out $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, who shows up, he's pretty much bought this fucking club where Cameron Grimes is trying to get to, and he pretty much gives him another lesson, which is, hey, if you got the money, don't just rent the place, buy it. All that. It's great to see $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase back in some form. I don't know exactly where this is going. I hope that maybe in the direction of $1 Million Man is going to maybe manage Cameron Grimes. I wouldn't mind seeing something like that. I think that would be very interesting, very comedic. I think that'd be some really good television between the two of them and everything. But at the same time, people of my age and generation, we remember $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase and everything, but the younger fans may not exactly know who the fuck this old guy is. That, all they know is, oh, he's some $1 million man and he apparently has a lot of more money than Cameron Grimes. I just kind of wish that WWE would do a little bit of a better job in kind of bridging the gap there a little bit for those fans that aren't as connected to. Sometimes you kind of gotta spoon feed a little bit. Now I'll say this about AEW. You look at Arn Anderson, you look at Tully Blanchard, even look at the fact that Dean Malenko was out there at the end of Blood and Guts and he was checking on the status of Chris Jericho and everything. And how the color commentators did a really good job in singling out Dean Malenko, mentioning how he was a legend and, how he's a good friend of Jericho's. They've had numerous, fights together. They go back to the WCW days and just all of that rich history you were able to get in those great sound bites and everything. I just kind of wish that there would be more emphasis on, bridging that gap there for those younger listeners when it comes to the $1 Million Man. Remember, this all goes back to something I've been talking about very passionately off and on over the years when it comes to seeing some of these veterans that show up. And, it's kind of like, hey, we're happy because we know who they are. But for those younger fans, and this is where the power, in this case, the power of the peacock comes into play, where there should be some type of a little mini commercial or whatever. And, hey, check out the $1 Million Man's, greatest hits or some shit like that. Social media pretty much run the same fucking thing. Everything is basically connected. Sometimes I just wish that WWE would just kind of take that Disney approach. Disney does a really good job with the way they blueprint shit out as far as their TV shows and then their movies and just everything linking up to what's happening overall in whatever phase that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is in. I just kind of wish that sometimes WWE would do a much better job in trying to, educate fans in a fun way, get them kind of caught up to speed and all that, but connect everything, to your product, your social. I wish they would do a better job. They're okay with what they're doing as it is, but if you're really, really trying to get that connection going and all that, yeah. So it is what it is there. Grizzled young veterans. I need these guys to soon get the fuck off my TV already. I'm so fucking tired of these guys. I'm so tired of these guys. Good tag team as far as in the ring. I don't care about the gimmick though. I don't care about the gimmick. I saw these guys come out. I actually muted the TV. Believe it or not, I muted the TV. I see Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa come out. I go, okay, now it's getting interesting. 15 minutes, damn good tag team wrestling action. I will say that. I will not deny that. Damn fucking good. Timothy Thatcher, Tommaso Ciampa picking up the dub there. I can't help but wonder what exactly is next, because you would think at this point maybe Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa, are now one step closer to maybe getting a shot at those NXT tag titles. I have to wait and see on that one. Let's see. NXT champion Carrion Cross. We finally get him in the ring. Past couple of weeks, he's pretty much been chilling in the back, enjoying Scarlett's rack, leaning against the wall with that gangster lean, whatever. I mean, he's just been chilling, man. I'm like, where's my boy Carrion? Like, come on, let's get him out here already. All right, so it was nice to finally see him, grace us with his presence and everything. And, his promo was pretty good. He pretty much was saying a couple of weeks ago, I put a challenge out there. Anybody that, wants some, step up to the plate, fucking come get it. Nobody has stepped up to the plate. I hear a whole bunch of people talking, but that's all I hear is a whole bunch of people talking, and that's it. So what's up? And, then we start seeing everybody come out. We see Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne comes out. He's taking his little verbal shots at Carrion Cross. Who else came out? Finn Balor came out. He was talking his hot game to Carrion Cross. Somebody had attacked Carrion Cross from behind, though. That's what I remember. Oh, yeah, Kylie O'Reilly. Yeah, Kylie O'Reilly was actually the first person to come out. And look, man, I'm not feeling this new Kylie O'Reilly thing. I'm not feeling it. The music, the overall presentation, I'm just not, it's not clicking with me right now. And he's just coming all out there with the weird fucking shades and the fucking flannel. And, I'm looking at this guy and I'm saying to myself, so do I want the menacing looking guy that looks like he'll fucking eat your entire fucking family for breakfast? As far as who I'm picking in a fight, am I gonna go with that guy in Carrion Cross, or am I gonna go with the guy that looks like he knows a whole lot about the Halo franchise and most likely works at a GameStop in Kylie O'Reilly? I'm not feeling it. I mean, it feels like Kylie O'Reilly has no fucking business. Just everything. This new presentation. It feels like he has no business whatsoever even being in the ring with Carrion Cross. It doesn't. It doesn't. I have great concern about that because the Kylie O'Reilly that I was seeing down there in ROH, I mean, boy, was getting shit done. He was getting shit done. What's going on with him now? It feels very forced. I have to tell you, it feels very forced. It feels too overly animated. It doesn't feel sincere whatsoever. So, those are my serious concerns right now with Kylie O'Reilly. Was hard stomaching that. It really was. Because just think about that. You got Kylie O'Reilly. You got Finn Balor. You got Pete Dunne. Now look, granny, you could maybe look at a guy like Pete Dunne and you could say, Pete Dunne, Carrion Cross. Pete Dunne's too small. He's, you could make those arguments, but at the same time, you could also say, it would be a damn good entertaining match though, without a doubt. Now look, Kylie O'Reilly, I'm not saying Kylie O'Reilly and Carrion wouldn't have a damn good match. But when you just kind of look past the physical statures and you just kind of look at just the overall presentation and the way these guys have been built up so far, the weakest, without a doubt so far, is Kylie O'Reilly, sadly. But, see, I'm trying to remember what happened. Somebody got hit. I'm trying to remember who fucking got hit. Finn Balor was the last guy to come out. He pretty much talked about, Pete Dunne, Kylie O'Reilly, been there, done that. And then, I'm trying to think. Dunne, Cow. If I remember right, Finn Balor hit Cross. If I remember it right, he hit Cross head on, like face to face. He hit him. Security tried to get in there, and I just loved how Carrion Cross came off as this fucking beast. I mean, he kind of was like almost no selling there. I was loving it. It was like, yeah, make him work for it. He's this tough ass. It's almost like he is impenetrable when it comes to yeah, I like that. More, please. All the chaos breaking. Finally, the ways Johnny Gargano, Austin Theory jumped Carrion Cross from behind. He was handling himself pretty damn good for a little bit, but they started doing stereo super kicks on his ass multiple times. That finally had grounded him, and they ended up having the upper hand and everything. So, and Johnny Gargano actually hit Carrion Cross with that North American title, and that pretty much was the end of Carrion Cross for the night. So it was pretty good. I love how we just, all of those personalities, everything just intertwined there with that fucking title. I can't help but wonder, what direction are we going in here? Are we going to go in a direction where Carrion Cross is going to have to defend against all of those guys, or not necessarily Gargano, because Gargano kind of has his own respected problems. So, I believe he still, he still got to deal with Bronson Reed from what I remember from last time. So, he might not be in that equation, but what about those other guys? You just kind of feel as though Cross is maybe at the next TakeOver event going to have to defend that title against, Pete Dunne, Kylie O'Reilly, Finn Balor, Fatal 4-Way. Wait and see how it plays out. Sir Ray, finally get to see Sir Ray. Remember, we last saw her. She made her in-ring debut 2 weeks ago. Last week, nothing, not even a recap of her debut. Now she's back in action. She took on Zeta Ramir. Sir Ray picking up the dub in about 4 minutes and some change. Oof. A lot of sloppiness I saw from the side of Zeta. I've looked at a couple of matches of Sir Ray online. She's pretty damn good. She's pretty damn smooth. Woman's been at this for like 20 years or some shit like that. She's pretty fucking good at her shit. Lot of spots in this match where I'm looking at Zeta and I'm going, God damn, hun, you're not timing your shit. You're not timing your shit just right. A few times she fucking landed on her head. There's one spot where she landed on her fucking neck. And I'm sorry, correction. I said 20-year veteran. I got my shit mixed up. She's actually age 25, but she's pretty much been at it since like 2010, 2011. So she's definitely a veteran, though, is the point that I'm trying to make. Whereas Zeta Ramir, she's only been at it for, God, I think she's only been at it maybe, I don't know, like a handful of years. She's nowhere near, last I remember checking, she's nowhere near what Sir Ray has. So, but yeah, there's a lot of sloppiness that was going on there. And it's kind of one of those things where, okay, who do you hold accountable for this? Is it just a case where both parties did not really communicate with each other, some of the moves that they were going to be doing? Or, is this a case right here where, Sir Ray is still trying to learn the WWE system? Or is this a case right here where, no, Sir Ray isn't the problem? It's Ramir that's the problem because she's still pretty green. Didn't exactly like this match. I gotta tell you, I didn't exactly like it. That's just me, to each its own, but me personally, I didn't exactly like this match. I didn't exactly care for the match. Jake Atlas losing to LA Knight, pretty much squash match right here. LA Knight picking up the dub. Candice LeRae was trying to get Indy Hartwell nice and hyped up and focused for their match for the NXT Women's Tag Titles. Indy sadly missed some beautiful artwork that Dexter Lumis had created just for her. She didn't catch it as Candice saw it first, and while distracting Indy, was able to hide that artwork. And then Dexter Lumis actually had appeared in a doorway. Blinds were open. Once again, Candice distracting Indy while she closed the blinds and everything. I don't understand why Dexter just didn't knock on the goddamn door personally, but, hey, it is what it is. Let's see. Legado del Fantasma, they were in the ring cutting a promo. He's still vowing to get his title back and everything. Kushida interrupted, challenging Escobar for next week, offering to defend the title, was accepted. So that's officially on. Another favorite highlight of the night, split screen interview between Raquel Gonzalez and Mercedes Martinez. Good shit right here. Mercedes Martinez basically going into this, hey, I'm the in-ring veteran. I've proven my worth. I've had to go through hell and back. I've had to put in the grind. I've had to put in the time to get to where I am right now. Whereas you've pretty much had luck on your side. I love that line about being a cookie cutter, because essentially what she was saying was, you pretty much got the golden ticket. You pretty much got to jump in front of the line of women like me that essentially were laying the foundation for girls like you, right? I like that. But then also at the same time, I liked how Raquel Gonzalez pretty much countered that and said, yeah, you know what? You did set the bar. You did pave the way for women like me and everything. But that bar that you set, let's be real. That bar is pretty much down here. And when I came in, I pretty much raised that bar all the way up to here, and nobody has been able to reach to my level yet, nor will you. All right. So I kind of like that whole back and forth that was going on with both women. I felt Raquel held herself pretty damn well against Mercedes Martinez. Good shit. Good shit. By the way, not that it doesn't matter. I don't even know how the hell I found this information now, but somehow I think I was a little bit curious. I think that's what it was. I was curious what was going on with Mercedes Martinez' marital status. And, once in a blue moon that happens, I'll be curious about somebody's marital status. I like trivial shit like that. I did not know that apparently she came out. I don't know how many of you guys are aware of it either, but apparently she came out in 2019. I was not aware of that. She's married, has a partner and all. I was not aware of that. And it was just kind of like, oh, okay, well, good for her. Happy for her, whatever makes her happy and all that. But I did not know that. So I just thought I'd pass that along to you guys for those of you that maybe, were not aware as well. It's just interesting because, it just goes to show you too. It's a good testament. It's a good testament because not everybody needs to go on social media, do a vlog, do a reaction video, hey world, this is, not everything needs to always be broadcast and made a big spectacle of. You dig? Sometimes it can just be a nice, subtle kind of, and it was interesting because it was some interview that she did in 2019 and she was just pretty subtle, in the way that she came out and everything, like it was no big deal basically. So, I'll tell you something else that kind of, whoa, I did not know that, just to further validate the point that I'm making about, hey, you'd be surprised how much shit kind of goes over your head and you didn't even know, right? And for me, I've been a fan of Mercedes Martinez for fucking years. So I'm definitely stoked that she's in the WWE now. But something non-wrestling related, and I didn't know about this until over the weekend, and shout out to my boy Julian Cannon. I didn't know this, but apparently I was watching over the weekend on ABC News Now, this special on Grandmaster Jay from Run DMC. And it was called Setting the Record Straight, Grandmaster Jay story. I did not know that in December 2020, the people responsible for the shooting and killing of Jay were apprehended. I did not know that. And when I was tweeting this out and everything, Julian was one of the first to reach out to me and everything. And he said, yeah, that went down December 2020. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I'm like, because the way I had set it up, I said, I'm watching the Grandmaster Jay story. I'm like, I'm about 17 minutes in, pretty fascinating. Still can't believe, the shit that I'm seeing. Still can't believe this story and the tragic end and all that. And then Julian responded right back and he was like, they apprehended his guys that killed him. They did that last year, December 2020. And I'm like, wait, what? And for those of you that may know, well, good for you if you know, but here in the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, when it came to that period of December 2020, I gotta tell you, as far as the news outlets over here, all it was COVID, Trump, election. That's all it was over here, especially in December. That's all it was about. So even on my respective social media feed, and I'm usually pretty good on current trends and all that. I'm usually good at that shit. I somehow missed that. I had a fun conversation with a Lyft driver the other day, as a matter of fact. We were talking all things music and all that because he heard me playing some jazz on my phone as I was getting in the car. And, he wasn't a fan of jazz, but he appreciated it. He didn't mind those that listened to it and everything. And somehow we just started talking about jazz and the different jazz artists that has helped artists in the R&B genre, even in rap and all that. And I started talking about Grandmaster Jay, and he was very surprised at some of the shit that he was hearing and all that. And I was kind of giving him the 411 and everything. But yeah, check that out if you guys didn't, if you didn't know about that. Check it out. There's two things I would recommend you pick up on. There's a NPR article on the two men that were charged in the long unsolved killing of Run DMC's Jam Master Jay. So I kept saying Grandmaster Jay. Jam Master Jay. I apologize. So you can check that out, and then check out that special that I said had aired on ABC News Now. It was about, trying to think if it was an hour long or 2 hours long. Kind of felt as though maybe it was a 2-hour joint. I got it on the DVR. I'll let you guys know next time I'm live on the air. But that one is called, get you the proper name for that one. See, hang on. Let me get you the screenshot image of that one, because I don't want to give you guys the wrong info here. And don't worry, I didn't forget about NXT, but it just kind of goes back to the point I was making earlier. So you guys should be able to follow me so far. So hang on a second. Let me see if I can find that for you guys. And I think, here it is. Set the Record Straight. The Jam Master Jay case. That's the name of the special. Again, Set the Record Straight. The Jam Master Jay case. So good shit right there. But yeah, once again, both girls, they did a pretty good job. They did a pretty good job in their back and forth there. Frankie Monet's dog was found in Shotzi and Amber's tank. They thought it was all nice and cute and everything, but apparently the dog had pooped in the tank. So unfortunately, they were not able to drive that bad boy out there. Quick sidebar, and Shotzi Blackheart related, I'm a little bit surprised that Shotzi Blackheart did not look at that poop and say, this happens to be in my realm because, I think this would make a killing on eBay. I just quick little sidebar. I don't know how many of you guys are aware of this, but apparently, way before Shotzi Blackheart came into the WWE and everything, when she was still doing her thing on the independents and all that, apparently there were quite a few individuals, if I remember this correctly, that were very fixated on her. And sometimes she would get odd requests and everything. And one of the requests that she would get is the selling of her bowel movements. And so for a brief period of time, she used to sell her bowel movements. I wish I was trolling you guys, but I'm not. And I promise you guys, the next time I'm live on the air, I will definitely pull up the source where I had. It's crazy when you think about it, because it's like, who the hell? Man, everybody's got their own fetish, man. Everybody's got their own fetish. You got people that have a fetish for diapers. You got people that got a fetish for bowel movement. You got a fetish for, there's a fetish for everything. Fetish for people eating. There's a fetish for everything, man. Find your cup of tea. Anyway, moving along before it gets even more disturbing. Final matchup of the evening. Oh, by the way, Kushida Escobar, that's next week. It's going to be a 2 out of 3 falls match. Raquel Mercedes for the women's title. That's going to be going down next week as well. NXT Women's Tag Team Match Street Fight. Amber Moon, Shotzi Blackheart, the champions, taking on Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell. I gotta tell you, I know everybody probably looked at this match and they felt fantastic. 5 stars. Oh my God. Give it to you raw. I gotta tell you, I could never really get into this match. I couldn't. I didn't like the pacing of this match. The pacing for this match to me was really, really, really bad. Now, what do I mean by that? I'll give you an example. What I saw for most of this fight was basically, okay, all right. I just punched this person. All right, now I'm gonna go over here, ever so gingerly. No sense of urgency. I'm gonna go get this steel chair. And I'm just gonna casually just come on over here. I'm gonna hit him with it. Alright, now I've done that. Now I'm gonna just go over here. I'm gonna grab this table. I'm gonna set this table. Oh, this person's coming right back. Let me just kick him in the guts real quick. Whack. Alright. Set this table up. That's what I felt I was watching for a majority of this match. And I'm just sitting there as I'm watching this. And I'm just going, okay. And see, I like watching my shit with the volume down, like muted. So it helps me focus a lot more so that I'm not distracted by the commentating and all that. Nowadays, the only time I will listen to commentating, I've listened to the first couple of weeks of Anon Burke on Raw. You know, now that I've pretty much gotten, my fair share, normally I watch Raw on mute and I have music playing in the background. Sometimes music, most times my TV is just on mute while I'm watching Raw for the whole 3 hours. It helps me focus really good. I've enjoyed the commentating work of D'Lo Brown and Matt Stryker, but I've even muted them. Now, you give me Mauro Ranallo, that's a different story. NXT, I usually mute. SmackDown these past couple of weeks, I've had it unmuted because I want to hear how our boy Pat McAfee's been doing. And I think he's doing pretty good so far. But I actually had, for NXT this week, I had the TV on mute the entire time as I'm watching this and everything. And that was just instantly one of the first observations I made when checking out this NXT Tag Team Titles match. It's just, there was the pacing. It was way too, I kept seeing women. I'm not going to name any names because I don't want some of them to feel bad, because some of them actually will make their rounds checking out what podcasts are saying about them, the brand and all that. So I don't want nobody to take it personal. But I saw way too much during that match of women that were adjusting their attire. Oh my God, I think I got a wedgie. Let me pull this down. Oh my God. It's like, look, man, nobody's going to see your shit. With the type of stuff you're wearing, you're good. Camera angles, the delay, nobody's going to see all that shit. Fix it when the match is over. Just get it. I kept seeing way too much of attire adjusting that was going on. But just it felt, I'm not going to say deliberate, but it felt unintentional slow pacing that was going on in this match, in this fight, for a vast majority. And I just found myself really, I wanted to get into this because all these women, great fucking names, wanted to get into this. I know what each one of them can do individually and all that. Told you guys weeks ago how I was coming around to the team of Amber Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. Think they've done pretty well for themselves and everything. I thought that, and still do think that it's helped Amber Moon tremendously more, in getting over a lot more, as opposed to just being a solo act and everything. But yeah, that was a real problem for me. It kind of felt like within the last maybe 5 minutes, because this went on for about 15 minutes and change, it kind of felt as though in the last 5 minutes, that's when it kind of seemed like the pace kind of picked up just a little bit. You could almost make the argument that, maybe it kind of felt a little rushed in some areas. But for me, my biggest takeaway from, if not any of those points that I just made from earlier, I also felt that it was just about a spot fest. That's what it was, ultimately all about. So so to each its own, but I really couldn't, like, if I were to grade this match particularly out of 5 stars, I would probably say 2.5 out of 5. That's the best I can do. So if it was a 10-point scale, 6 out of 6 out of 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. That's the best I can do. 6 out of 10. Now, I got to be consistent. Just a few weeks ago, I had talked about how Candice LeRae, yet to win a title in, the NXT. All these years that she spent down there, yet to win a title. What's up with that? When is she going to get her just due? Because she has truly been one of the main faces for that division and everything. I'm happy for Candice LeRae. Legit. I'm fucking happy for her. Been wanting to see her, for the longest time. And it's nice that, finally. So I'm big time. I'm happy for Candice LeRae. I am. I actually followed a big chunk of her work on the independents long before she had even came to the WWE and everything. So, for me to finally, so legit, I am happy. And then Indy Hartwell is definitely coming along. You can see the potential there as far as her being that nice, good, breakout star and everything. You can see it. I think of all the women that's down there in NXT right now, Indy Hartwell is definitely the one you want to continue to have your eyes on. I can see her doing some pretty big cool things for the women's division on the main roster. Definitely. I think the only thing that would make her fail on the main roster would be creative. I mean, because when you see somebody like an Indy Hartwell, it's like, you see what she can do and everything. It's like, okay, there's some good quality shit that's there, man. There is. And look, she could probably be maybe 2-3 years away from being on the main roster. I mean, there's no reason to rush. Let her continue to be down there and, perfect her craft even more and all that, Longer the better, I personally say. But a decent NXT, felt a little bit average at times and everything. Few of the promos that they had throughout NXT were a bit long-winded. You could almost say that this week's NXT was more story-driven in developments as opposed to the wrestling action. You could almost make that argument to a certain degree. But yeah, NXT. I saw the ratings for NXT, by the way. This is how they did, according to Showbuzz Daily. They brought in 761,000 viewers. This is up from last week's 744,000. So that's not too bad, but I mean, my God, your only competition is what? NBA action on TNT, if that's even still going on. And that's really it. Uncontested. And as far as wrestling goes, you're uncontested. Man, I'm a little surprised at that. I would have thought that they would be at least in the norm. I would have thought that they would be in the low 800,000s. So the fact that they keep getting, but you know what? It went up. So keep it right where it is. We'll see what happens, but I kind of have a feeling just from looking at the past few numbers so far, it kind of feels as though what you could expect for the new norm. I would not be surprised if the new norm would be for NXT uncontested. I wouldn't be surprised if the numbers were maybe at around lowest 650,000, highest probably 785. Not quite seen 790 just yet, but 785. We'll see. Don't worry. I'll be paying close attention. You know how I am with the ratings, man. All right. See how long we've been on the air so far. I can't quite remember what time we came on live here. So hang on here. I got to see what you guys are seeing in the chat here. So bear with me a second here. Because the way I am recording the show, I do not have my counter that's on right now. So hang on. See what's going on here. Where are we? I don't have that going. Looking for the counter. Hang on, guys. I'm just looking for a counter. I'm trying to see how long we've been on the air so far here. No, that's not right. That's funny. I got a counter that's saying 32 minutes and 19 seconds. That's definitely not right. I tell you what, let me stop recording real quick. Actually, I don't even think I have to do that, do I? Hang on here. Yeah, let me stop recording real quick. Oh, that's not bad. All right, so we pretty much had hit about the 2-hour mark. Okay, that's not bad. All right, so hang on. Let me resume. Yeah, let me stop recording real quick. Okay, so let's come right here and hit record. There we go. All right, guys, so we're good. So we got a couple more tidbits we can get into, a couple little headlines, and then we can pretty much call this a show. Call it DONE done. So we're not gonna even hit the 2-hour, 30-minute mark. I can promise you guys that right now. We're not even gonna hit that. So a lot of questions up in the air about Daniel Bryan's WWE status after that loss to Roman Reigns, which, by the way, that was a great main event match from last week's SmackDown between Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns for that Universal title. Fucking loved it. The new Roman Reigns theme. I loved it. You know, I see what everybody is talking about with regards to it. Kind of feels like a video game in-game boss from back in the day. I totally see that. You know, it's funny too because Matt Coon, love Matt Coon. Matt Coon has produced some of the music that's out there for some of your favorite wrestlers, FTR and AEW, you know, for starters. It's interesting because he had played around with some audio some months back. He was trying to envision what it would sound like once Roman Reigns got a new theme and just everything he was seeing about with Roman so far that we've been seeing with him. And so he actually took when Roman Reigns came out to the new theme, except he muted that theme and he replaced it with the music he had made some months back, envisioning what the new Roman theme would sound like. And his theme sounds 10 times better than what WWE actually were able to come up with and everything. But, you know, you ask me personally, I'm gonna miss the old theme, man. I used to have fun with that shit. I used to have fun with that theme, man. Roman Reigns, goddamn, sexy as fuck. Roman Reigns, the women. I can't really, you know, it's like Roman Reigns, his hair is always wet. Roman Reigns. Yeah, it's just, you can just rhyme that very easily, you know. A lot of the shit that I would normally use for Roman, though, it's pretty vulgar. So I don't really want to go there tonight. But Daniel Bryan, he pretty much was moved to the alumni section on WWE's site and everything. According to reports, the main one I want to focus on is from the good folks over at Fightful. I love the good job that they do over there. apparently his contract either expired or it's about to expire. Um, so, kind of take that for what it's worth. Either it expired or it's about to expire. But then you have a case where no, looks like maybe it might have expired last week after that match with Roman Reigns. So there's very conflicting, stuff that's going on with regards to that. If you ask me, what would I like to see with Daniel Bryan? I just want nothing but the very best of him. First of all, in his personal life. Above anything else, that's really what I want for him. There was some interview I remember he gave recently where he talked about how he had his daughter over his neck and shoulders, and I guess they were doing some type of a fun activity. I don't know if like he was trying to put her up a tree or help her catch a butterfly or something, but he had talked about how he's kind of felt a little bit of nerve pain from over the years with the wrestling and all that. So, I've always been consistent when it comes to Daniel Bryan and a few others. And my whole thing has always been, and it's probably not the answer that most people want to hear. Because I know some, Lee, what do you think about Daniel Bryan? What do you think's going to happen with Daniel Bryan? Don't you want to see Daniel Bryan wrestling? Me personally, I just want Daniel Bryan to be in a position where he can enjoy himself from a physical standpoint, being able to walk around, do the most simplistic things, sweep, mop a floor, pick up your kids, go jogging, the simple things. Just go normally walking down the street, go bicycle riding, just the simple things. I just want him to live a nice, comfortable life. As far as I'm concerned, all the years that he has given to this business and to us as fans, if he were to decide, you know what, I'm done. Me as a fan, hey, thank you, Daniel Bryan. We're good. We are good. Thank you. For others, it may be a tough pill to swallow. You could do some stuff with him on Raw. You could. I also wouldn't mind seeing him back as a true independent contractor, and just sporadically doing stuff for various promotions. Come in for limited runs and just pretty much. I wouldn't mind seeing him do some shit like that. That's essentially part of a farewell tour or whatnot. But it just, if you ask me just where things kind of stand for him right now in the WWE and everything, I gotta be honest with you. I don't see, even if you were to put him on Raw, I don't see another WWE championship run. I don't. It would be nice. Trust me, it would be nice to see him one more time, but I'm not seeing it go down. He would have some damn good, interesting matchups on Raw. Off the break, I would love to see him in another classic with AJ Styles. I would love to see him take on Lashley under the right storyline. I would love to see him face Lashley. Definitely would love to see him feud with Cedric Alexander, do something with Shelton Benjamin. I could see him tearing it up with Riddle. I could see him doing some solid stuff with Humberto Carrillo. Mansoor. Now that you got Mansoor over there, definitely see him do some stuff with him. Old time's sake, some shit with Randy Orton. Shit, give me some stuff with Bray Wyatt. There's a lot of cool stuff that you could do with Daniel Bryan on the WWE Raw side of things, but eventually you're gonna run your course, and then it's kind of like, okay, now what? But me personally, I would just like to see him pull. I would like to see him pull a. I would like to see him pull a Carrion Cross, because Carrion Cross did it. Carrion Cross did it. Matt Hardy did it. AJ Styles did it. The list goes on and on of guys that just went to ROH, went to this promotion, They were just a free agent. They didn't stay dedicated to just one promotion. They were not locked in key under one promotion for an extended period of time. Hopefully, if he does decide he wants to continue to wrestle, for me personally as a fan, I mean, as great as some of those matches would be in WWE on the Raw side that I just talked about, I would be more inclined to, you know what? Go back out there on the independents. Work the dates that you want to work. Be your own fucking boss. Go for the matchups that he would command so much if you really kind of take a step back and think about it. With his cachet, everything that he's accomplished in the WWE and everything, he would be able to accomplish a lot more, specifically from a monetary standpoint, than what's going on right now. And look, Daniel Bryan, and I definitely would encourage people, read Daniel Bryan's Yes book. I mean, just everything that he outlines in that book, you really connect to him from an individual standpoint when you read that Yes book. I know it's thick as fuck, but it's a great read. I actually read that book twice. It's a damn good read. And you know as you're reading that book, and by the time you're done, just from a monetary standpoint, Daniel Bryan's good money-wise. So this really, it wouldn't be about money. As surprising as that may be to some of you guys, it wouldn't be about money. It would simply be about, okay, what's best for me at this point? What's best for me from a physical standpoint? What do I always tell you guys? Quality over quantity. So, like I said, if he were to just, I'm done wrestling, more power to him. I'd be all right with that. Bully Ray, very rare. We got some Bully Ray news. But Bully Ray had called out the AEW for disrespecting the Impact World title. And he said, and I quote, "If I'm management or owners of Impact Wrestling, I'd be fucking fuming that their World Heavyweight Championship was being carried out by a Naka nobody and not at least over the shoulder of Omega. Perception is reality." Look, I don't need to be long-winded. Listeners know by now how I have felt about the AEW versus Impact. I have felt like it has just gone over like a wet fart. As far as from a sexual reciprocating standpoint, Impact Wrestling has gone above and beyond to satisfy AEW. And when it comes time for AEW to return that same gesture, AEW has not done anything. Shit, you didn't even get any spots for, when have you ever gotten a spot for Impact Wrestling live on Access TV and Twitch and all that? When have you seen a paid ad on TNT for Impact Wrestling? Or when have you seen maybe Scott D'Amore show up and try to say a little something? I'm just not feeling how it's going down right now. And you hear that Kenny Omega had collected this belt. You hear that Kenny Omega had collected that belt. He's the belt collector. He's the Galactus of pro wrestling. Okay, I get that. But I'm sorry, but storyline here. If we lost the true face of our company, which is our World Heavyweight Championship, that pretty much went out the door around the arms of a guy that works for another company. And pretty much at this point, he's like not really showing up to our brand. Or even if he is showing up to our brand, we still look at him as that outsider. I don't know, just following the storyline, you'd have some people that would be so pissed off that they'd grab a couple of guys and say, yo, we need to go make our presence felt. Let's go pop up on AEW Dark. Let's go pop up on AEW Elevation. Let's go pop up on Dynamite. Let's cause a ruckus. And you just ain't been getting that. You know, and it's been very, very, very nerve-wracking. It has. You know, it's almost like one of those type of deals where AEW comes to Impact. This is the best analogy I can use, especially since it's not grotesque in any way. AEW is that high school crush that you either have currently, you know, if you're in school, or if you're older, you remember that high school crush that you used to have, that girl or that boy, you know, you had a crush on and you always wanted to ask them out, but you couldn't work up the nerve. They knew that you liked them, and they basically tried to use that to their advantage, right? So AEW is that crush. And they come to you and they basically say, hey, your lunch looks good. You know, you should let me have your lunch. If you let me have your lunch, I'll let you hold my hand. And Impact Wrestling is basically like, yeah. You know, and so they do that. And now, you know, once AEW has eaten your lunch, can I hold your hand now? Huh? Can I hold your hand now? Will you let me hold your hand now? You know, and AEW's going, later. You got any money? Yeah, I got money. I want to go play the arcades after school. Yeah. I got $20 worth of quarters. Okay, well, we're going to go play some arcades. Can I hold your hand while we... I'll think about it, right? So AEW, you get it now. Rinse, repeat. They just keep... And Impact is... Yeah, that great idea. Yeah. It's really nerve-wracking right now. It's very, very one-sided. You know, it's gotten to a point right now where you're looking for that sizzle, you're looking for that pop. You're kind of like, well, you know what? It ain't happening. Moving right along. So to a certain degree, I see exactly and I understand where Bully Ray is coming from. I honestly don't believe what Bully Ray is saying. I don't believe what he's saying. I don't think he's working fans. I truly don't believe he's working fans. I will give Bully Ray that much credit. You know, he said some stuff over the years and he's definitely ruffled my feathers a little bit here and there, but I'll definitely give him his fucking props. When it comes to him just from a creative standpoint, he's usually pretty fucking spot on. He is. You know, and your guess is as good as mine where this whole AEW versus Impact, your guess is as good as mine, because this partnership, I mean, they've been doing this together since what, fourth quarter of last year. So like, I think this started like maybe around October, maybe November. And here we are now in May and nothing has yet to freaking materialize from the Impact side of things. You hear that going on, and then you hear the fact that Moose, apparently his contract is about to expire. Here's a fucking guy I have talked about repeatedly over the years. Looks like money, moves like money, smells like money. You can make fucking money off this guy. That just continues to be poorly underutilized in Impact. Great example of a guy taking chicken shit and turning it into good chicken salad. And he just continues to just, you know, I don't know what that brother is going to do. Me personally, I hope he goes elsewhere. I hope he goes elsewhere because unless Impact really doubles down, you know, hey, look, we really want to make a serious commitment to you. This is what we're seeing for your future. This is what we're willing to do with you out of the gate. This is what we're laying out, you know, for the next 6 to 8 months, keeping you in mind. This is what we want to do with you. Unless they're going to finally pull that fucking trigger on him and everything, make him a world champ and everything, and then some, then I don't know, man. I think they are in a really bad position where they could potentially be losing Moose. And just so you guys know, for those of you that don't officially know, yeah, Moose, he talked about it in the tweet, pretty much confirming that his current contract that's going to be expiring in June. He said on Twitter, "My goal is to win the Impact Wrestling World title before my contract is up in June." So, look, I had said it some weeks back, even before the Impact Rebellion joint went down. I hope that in some form, Moose, Kenny Omega, for that Impact World, that would be pretty fucking badass. That would be pretty fucking badass. Or Moose taking on Omega for that, if you really wanted to do a nice serious twist, like I had said some weeks back, I would love to see Moose, pretty much defeat Kenny Omega for one of those titles. And Moose decides, I'm going to take that AEW world title. You want to talk about kind of getting your comeuppings and trying to get the viewers to, you feel where I'm coming from? And then look at the ratings trajectory that's been going on, with Omega in the mix and everything. At one point you got like a nice little good high number, and then you just kept going down, 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 down. We're almost kind of getting to that point where it's like, yeah, the Omega factor, yeah, not really a factor on Impact. So, kind of, it's sad but true. So, MLW had broke in some really interesting, cool news this week, as we got to find out the Azteca Underground leader. It was revealed on MLW Fusion. The owner is none other than a relic from the past, something I faithfully watched every single fucking week for the multiple seasons it was on. Lucha Underground's Dario Cueto. He revealed himself to be the organization's El Jefe. And this came after Selena de la Renta was taken to the Boyle Heights. And if you guys haven't been catching up on MLW, you guys are fucking missing a lot of shit. But Selena de la Renta was taken to the Boyle Heights after being kidnapped. And she came face to face with El Jefe. And he talked about how, she had to pay the ultimate sacrifice for her mistakes. And then he got a phone call and said he pretty much would see them on July 10th, which is going to be the new season premiere and all that. So, yeah, man. And he was talking about how, it's time for a new, underground to be built, a new Azteca to be built and all that. It was badass. It was fucking badass. I loved it. I gotta tell you, MLW really stepping it up. Really fucking stepping it up with their shit. I'm loving it. It's a good time, man. If you haven't been checking out MLW as of late, definitely. You're looking for a nice little alternative. Maybe you want to break from the WWE and all that. Check out what MLW is doing. I ain't gonna say nothing else. I'll tell you what. I'll give you guys a head start. I'll say a little bit more about them on the next show. But, that good shit. Good shit. So they're doing it right. They're fucking doing it right. Got to give it up to them. I see the report that's floating around about MLW possibly working with WWE. And if you got your social media, you've probably seen that some of the MLW stars, they've kind of latched onto that report, and in a innuendo kind of way, they kind of put the question out there, what do you think about, without mentioning WWE. Some have actually just, you hear the reports, what do you guys think? Or, things like that without mentioning WWE. But there's been a few that's actually just point blank, what do you think? WWE, MLW, what do you think? Look, all the report is right now, it's a rumor. That's all it is right now. I think rather than, what do you think about this rumor? What do you think about this rumor? I think what we really should be focused on is for the next WWE pay-per-view, the next takeover, when it comes to that week when all the superstars are doing the media blitz, conference calls and all that, particularly what you want to be homing in on, Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, and hearing from them, hey, this report about you guys are potentially working with MLW, any truth to it, anything you can comment on right now, blah, blah, blah. We need to kind of go in that direction. Now, look, I don't really know how open and candid Triple H and them would be about, we actually are talking with them. Nothing is in stone right now. We're just talking. I don't know if they would really be that transparent or if they would kind of leave fans, guessing or whatnot. But look, I will say this. If WWE has gotten to the point where they would not mind working with another promotion, good. As compared to the previous years, good. I'd say to that, WWE then and the powers that be in WWE, they are in a position now where, we're here, we're now, we're forever. We ain't going nowhere. We got ours, we got our money and everything. We're good. It'd be kind of, we got our placement. Yeah, let's do a little something for some of these small fries that's out there. I mean, look, I'm a member of the WWE Fan Council. And so I usually a couple of times a month, they ask for my feedback, whether it's, some survey or, you name it, usually a survey. But I remember a couple of years ago, there was a survey where WWE wanted to know, hey, what would you think about Ring of Honor content? If we were to get access to this, what do you think about Ring of Honor content coming to the network? What do you think about Impact Wrestling? What do you think about... And I remember at that time I had said, fuck yeah, that'd be pretty badass if you were able to get all of this. Because I remember it was tied to, hey, let's say we were able to get all of this, but it would be under a different tier. Would you be willing to pay more for that higher tier and everything? And I just remember, yeah, I would be willing to pay a higher tier to access that content. Yeah, sure. Also talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling content. I remember that. It was like about, God, at this point, it was probably maybe 3 to 4 years ago. I remember we talked about it right here on this show and everything. So, it's not like, I know everybody's kind of latching on to it like, ooh. Everybody's latching on to it, but it's not really news because, like I said, WWE put a survey out some years ago. So, for them, and you kind of see some of the stuff that was on the network before it went to Peacock and kind of what's going on now with some of that outside content and everything. So, all it is a report. Let's wait and see what happens. I think we should focus more on what Triple H and Stephanie and them have to say about that report that's floating out there and kind of go from there. I mean, you ask me straight up, would it be cool? Hell yeah, of course. It would be cool if they would expand their horizons like that, work with a couple of these promotions. I would love to see certain guys, cross on over, like Hammerstone, for example. I would love to see Hammerstone do some stuff over in NXT. I would love to see a guy like Mansoor maybe come on over to MLW. I would love to see Roman Reigns come on over to MLW, do some shit with Jacob Fatu, right? That would be epic right there. I mean, if there's one thing I'm looking at, Joseph Samael, Jacob Fatu, Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman. I mean, that would be some legendary back and forth shit right there. Definitely, you got the right cast of people that's there and everything, and I think, this is really about for WWE. If you're going to put yourself in a position like this, you kind of want to go with somebody that you feel, okay, you know what? We can trust this person. There hasn't been any weird shenanigans going down. There hasn't been any bullshit, no controversy. Kurt Bauer's been pretty damn good at the helm of all things MLW. I have to say, for the couple of years that I've been checking it out so far. So, yeah, you haven't heard any salacious, tabooish, extreme bullshit that's been going on. You've heard nothing but a lot of good things come out of MLW and from the people that, had the time to work there and everything. If anything, you got some of these people like Mance Warner, MJF, they kind of felt as though, all right, well, I kind of want to go where the real money is. I kind of want to get out of my contract. And, that's kind of been a little bit of a sticky situation for some of those guys and everything. But, I mean, for the most part, everything's been pretty solid as opposed to ROH, So I wouldn't be so focused on MLW, although it's a really good aspect. I would be more focused on, well, what does the McMahon family have to say about that? But then the other question to ask yourself is, well, realistically, if it were to happen, what promotion legitimately would WWE consider working with? I kind of find it funny that MLW, that's had a lot of people talking, but Chris Jericho does his thing on the WWE network. You get an AEW guy that's doing his thing on a WWE network that Vince McMahon gave the green light to, rather than most people latch onto that and say, hey, there might be hope that WWE and AEW can do something. The flavor right now is, majority is WWE MLW. I just find that interesting. That's all I'm saying. I'm not knocking. I just find that kind of interesting. See. Other than that, I see that Mick Foley recently, he put out a tweet to Vince McMahon, and he basically had said, yo, Vince, you need to get on top of an all-women's brand before AEW beats you to the punch. Right? I don't need to be long-winded with this. Look, I love Mick Foley. I got a lot of respect for Mick Foley. I actually, I paid good hard-earned money some years back. Me and the missus, we actually saw Mick Foley at the DC Improv Club. You guys can actually hear our review of that. It's available on demand and on the downloads. But first off, I would say for the YouTube channel, start on the YouTube channel. Just type in Mick Foley RCWR or Mick Foley DC Improv RCWR Show, and you should be able to find it. And it was nice chatting with him and his daughter Noelle, because Noelle was actually there. She basically, it was funny too, because she was collecting the money, and she was basically telling us what we could get, this cost this cost that, but she was really very super fucking friendly, chatting it up and everything, and then you got to talk with Foley and everything. And I talked with Foley for a couple of minutes. He wasn't trying to rush me along. He wasn't, he was taking his time. He was taking his time. Even right down to doing his autograph. I mean, he was even doing that, not deliberately slow, but just, hey, he just performed. He's really trying to just enjoy himself. And it was, at DC Improv, it's a much more intimate setting, because at its maximum, you could probably get about, if you're lucky, you could probably get about maybe 100 people sitting at DC Improv at one time. I'd be shocked if it was a higher number than that. But I remember one of the things I mentioned to him, I was getting his thoughts about some episode of Raw, and there was some celebrity that was on there, and they came off not knowing anything about the product. I mean, it had really showed, they looked really, really bad. And I remember, asking him what was his thoughts about it, because I knew, as always, every Monday night he's watching Raw. So I remember picking his brain about it, and he was pretty candid. He didn't hold any punches back. He didn't bury that celebrity, but at the same time, he agreed with my assessment, but he had his own spin on the whole deal and everything. So I've had a lot of respect for Mick Foley as a fan for many years. Got his autograph, all that stuff, all on my wall and everything. But it's like, Mick, all due respect, brother, AEW, WWE, they've already been beaten to the punch. We got these all-brand promotions in Shine, Shimmer, WSU, WOW, Women of Wrestling. They already doing it. They already doing it, brother. They already doing it, okay? Now, if you ask me straight up, Lee, what do you think, dog? What do you think? First off, let's just talk strictly WWE for a second. Let's just talk strictly WWE. WWE did the Evolution pay-per-view, which was one of the worst pay-per-views of all time from a buyout standpoint. From a pay-per-view buyout standpoint. Poor numbers. Poor numbers. How bad was it? You remember that one particular WWE EC themed pay-per-view that was so bad? Went off so early, and a whole bunch of... Shout out if you remember the name. That's some good trivia for you guys. Don't post it in the chat. That's just good trivia for you to look up. You never know. I may do a contest and I may ask you the name for that pay-per-view. So that's why I'm not putting the name out there right now. That's some homework for you guys to do. Pretty much worse than that pay-per-view was the Evolution pay-per-view. Now, if it was a case where that had a much stronger buyout, right? They're looking at the pay-per-view numbers and, hey, the buys are damn, these are pretty damn good numbers. Look at these pay-per-view buys. Wow. If it was a much stronger number, I guarantee you we would have got a second Evolution event. We probably would be embarking on a third one by now. But that first one, numbers were so low. So low. If it don't make money, it don't make sense. I'm talking about that common sense. That's what it comes down to. I know that's a fucked up thing to hear, but you got to think as far as the mindset of how WWE is rolling. Now, look, you would think that with Stephanie McMahon putting her own little unique spin out there, philanthropy is the future. Remember that? Philanthropy is the future. That's what she always says. You hear her tout about how, we're working with the Susan G. Komen Foundation, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We're working with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We're doing this over here. The WWE product in their quarter reports. We saw, exceptional growth among women between the ages of... So that's grown a lot more as far as them liking the WWE product, as far as the demographics, who's really representing, buying WWE merchandise. We saw female growth this past quarter by 10%, blah, 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 blah. So you hear all these great things revolving around women and all that. But when it counts the most, and it's okay, well, how about a all brand pay-per-view, for the women? If we can't really, think about that. You're talking about an all brand. So we're talking about a weekly joint for the females. You got enough titles as it is. So you're like at 20 something titles as it is. So for this all women brand, we're going to be introducing some new titles, right? So we're going to be expanding that even more. Think about that, folks. You got WWE Raw. You got NXT. You got NXT UK. You got Main Event. You got 205 Live. You've got SmackDown. God, did I just name 6 shows? I can't believe that. Surely I said something twice. Let me do that again. You got WWE Raw. You got NXT. You got NXT UK. You've got Main Event. You got 205 Live. You've got SmackDown. Good God. No, I didn't repeat something twice. 6 shows right there. 6 shows right there. If I'm missing a show, let me know. You got 6 shows in rotation every week. And now we're going to throw into the mix a all brand women show. I don't know, man. I don't know. You're looking at what that Evolution pay-per-view did. Buys weren't there. Now, you know what? Granted, maybe you can look at that and maybe you could say, well, you know what? Not for nothing, but maybe we set our ambitions a little too high. You know, maybe we just felt that with all the talent that we have and everything, you know, we felt that we could really hit a home run. And obviously we didn't. You know, we started off on good intentions, but too much too soon. You could maybe make that argument, granted. I think as far as the future goes, if it were me, if you're going to get to the point where you're doing a all-women brand on a weekly basis, you got to do a test pilot. Now look, I know a thing or two about marketing. I know a thing or two about marketing research. I worked in that industry for 10 years. I worked putting focus groups together for shit that you guys don't even be thinking about. Those latest video games that you guys like to play, the latest iPhone, Samsung Galaxy, tablets, what you're watching on TV, what you're getting ready to see in the theaters. The company I work for, we represented major clients from Bethesda Studios, BET, Microsoft, even Facebook. We work for major companies, organizing focus groups, you know, and getting all the data, all that shit. Let me tell you something. You want to have this go off on the right foot? You gotta go in. You gotta do a test pilot. That Evolution, I wouldn't call that a true test pilot. I wouldn't. They set the bar so high, but what they got in return, right? Now, what you want to do, if you're going to do something like this, what you want to do is you want to take maybe your NXT show. Take your NXT show. Just once. Do it like weeks in advance. Hype it up. Build it up. Fucking hype that son of a bitch up. Give me a second. Hype that son of a bitch up. Weeks in advance. Have that special edition of NXT be an all-women edition. See how you do as far as your numbers go. See if your numbers, like, so for example, you're following the ratings for NXT. You know, if you are showing, according to your analytics, if you're showing that, okay, we're normally averaging about 760,000 viewers. That's our average. Okay. Then you know what? Okay. Highest case scenario, lowest case scenario. Okay, so lowest case scenario, maybe 740,000 people will represent checking out this women's edition of NXT. Okay? Worst case scenario. That's the worst case scenario. Best case scenario, you get yourself, if you're lucky, 800,000. Right? So you got your worst case, Good case scenario. So now you have that measure of, okay, this is what we're looking for. Okay, well, this exceeded our expectations. So this was a good pilot. This was a good pilot episode. Let's try this again in a few months. Or let's maybe do this again, next year or whatever, or 6 months from now, whenever. And if you see that that growth remains, there's no significant drop off. It's either steady or you gain. After you do enough of those test pilot runs, then you got enough of a foundation to say, okay, you know what? We can go right on ahead. And yeah, we got enough data here from what we've been able to collect. We can launch a weekly brand. You can't just, we got to get on this before AEW. Like, there's already other joints that's fucking doing it. Maybe you can make the argument, yeah, but they're not doing it to the level that a WWE or a AEW could do it. Okay, I'll give you that. But let's not fucking bullshit people around. There are promotions that's been doing this already for many years, and they do it pretty damn well. And some of the top stars that you're looking at for some of your favorite promotions, they at some form, when they were breaking their bread and butter, they work for a lot of those promotions that I had mentioned earlier. So that's how you have to do it. That's how it's done. It's a very simple, basic blueprint, because when you stop and think about it, I'll give you a perfect example. Lately, I've been binging on Starsky and Hutch. And I like it. It's a pretty damn good show. It's a pretty damn good show. I kind of remember watching it in syndication as a kid, but like nothing really stood out to me except Antonio Vargas. So I've been binging on them the past couple of weeks and everything. And I like that trivia shit. I like finding out about stuff that like I normally wouldn't even know about or whatever. So I found during the second season, again, trivia stuff. I found for the second season that producers were so pleased with the numbers for the first season of Starsky and Hutch that, and they saw the feedback that Antonio Vargas was getting as Huggy Bear and everything. They wanted to know how would a spinoff do with Antonio Vargas just as Huggy Bear, and maybe he can kind of get into his own little investigating thing or whatever. So they had a nice little backdrop of a story arc where a buddy of his that was a former sheriff, I guess he's now a detective or whatever, somehow he and Huggy Bear, they're kind of like the black version of Starsky and Hutch, basically. And so when it came to the second season of Starsky and Hutch, I can't remember the name of the episode, but there was one episode where it was just all about Huggy Bear. And they pretty much had used that episode to gauge the audience to figure out, okay, do we have something here that's enough? Can we gauge the interest and all that where it's enough where we can do a green light on this Huggy Bear spinoff? The rating was very low for that particular episode, and the feedback was really bad. So they canned it. They fucking canned it. You look at this final season of Black Lightning. Anybody that knows, I'm a huge Black Lightning fan. They did an episode a couple of weeks ago. I think it was about, let me see. I think it was about maybe 2 weeks ago. They did an episode where Black Lightning and the family, well, with the exception of Nessa and her partner, but like Cress Williams and them, they did not show up for this episode. It was all about Painkiller. All about Painkiller. And this episode had served as a backdoor pilot for what could possibly be if we were to get a Painkiller series. Everybody was thinking, oh, the series has already been greenlit. The series didn't even get greenlit yet. It all depends on the feedback, social media engagement, what people are writing about it, their reviews and everything. Most importantly, what's going on with that rating demographic and everything. If I remember it correctly, I think that episode had got a 0.35 rating. that's really nothing to be impressed about. You know, it'd be one thing if maybe, hey, we got 1 million and something viewers that had checked out this episode. But I mean, you guys see, if you watch Black Lightning, you see what's going on. You see with the engagements, the impressions, it's getting less. So as good as that Painkiller series was, it might be safe to say that, yeah, it was a good episode, but not enough to get the green light for. So you gotta fucking do this in a way. You gotta do this in a way, and that's why I'm suggesting that they do it at NXT. Because right before the pandemic had went down and everything, you already had NXT that was going on tour. You already had them when they were taking NXT out on the road. They pretty much were playing. They were performing in nice little small venues. They were playing, you know, the arenas. They weren't massively big, but you know, it was a nice little. And then sometimes what they would do when they would be filming NXT, I remember there used to be some instances where they would do it where, okay, we're doing this, but then we got to film this for this show and all of that. So there's ways that they can do it. But if you ask me straight up from just a marketing standpoint, and I know marketing because I worked in it for 10 years, that's the biggest piece of advice I would give to WWE as far as, okay, you want to try to test this out? You want to try to see if maybe you can get to that point where you have an all-women's brand on a weekly basis? Then this is what you do. NXT is your best vessel to properly utilize and see if you can even have that discussion. You know, and I get the era that we're in right now and everything, because, you know, we see at least in the WWE standpoint, you know, first 2 black women to close out WrestleMania. Oh man, you know, first Hell in a Cell with 2 women, first ever, you know, we're seeing, oh man, first time that women performed in Saudi Arabia. You know, we're seeing all of this great stuff that's happening. Let's be honest, a lot of good things that's happening with the WWE as far as their women's revolution and everything. You know, and look, you know me, I've been a supporter of women's wrestling for many years. So for me, looking at what WWE is doing right now, hey, WWE, about fucking time you caught up to what WOW, Shimmer, WSU, Shimmer, you know, Shine. About fucking time you caught up to, you know, what all of them were basically doing and everything, and how they essentially were booking their women and all that. But that's my 2 cents from a distance when it comes to this whole stuff about women's wrestling. You know, that's honestly, you know, and then remember, as I always tell you guys, quality, not quantity. That's the main thing that you also got to be thinking about. Now look at all of those shows that I just mentioned. You know, not every single one of those shows is banging it out on a quality standpoint on a weekly basis. I'm looking at you, Raw. Okay? Let's be honest. So even if you were to, you know, once again, quality over quantity. What they did at Evolution, they had the quantity. They had that right. But, and look, not for nothing, they did it in New Jersey. Not for nothing, they did it at a much smaller venue. Wasn't their normal, we're going to go to this arena, you know, we're going to go to MSG, you know, we're going to go to the AT&T Stadium, we're going to go to Verizon Center. You know, it's not like they did any of that shit. They pretty much went like, you know, those stadiums I just named, that's like tier A. And then you got tier B. And then you got tier C. That's, right? You know, and then after tier C, it's pretty much, okay, you're performing basically like almost like in a little club, basically. You know, they pretty much went for a tier C stadium when it came to that Evolution. And they couldn't even sell it out. I remember being on this show covering it and talking about how many seats were still available and how they were trying to do these little combo packages and all that other shit. The logistics, everything, It was totally wrong. Their heart was in the right place back then. Make no mistake about it. But the logistics, everything, they just, it is what it is. So I hope that answers your question. All right. So other than that, I'm going to say, let's stick a fork in it. Let's call it DONE done. I gave you guys a little bit more of a deluxe edition here. So I hope you guys appreciate it. Because at this point, this will pretty much tie you over until I'm on the air with you guys again, which is going to be in a little bit, because in less than 30 minutes, we've got the season 3 premiere. I heard a dog bark. That's why those of you watching the web stream, that's why you saw me look over my shoulder. I'm hearing something from outside. Headphones are super sensitive. I'm gonna be checking out in less than 30 minutes the season 3 premiere of Dark Side of the Ring. That should be awesome. I'm looking forward to that. I wish there was a way I could do a live watch party, but I don't want Viceland to hit me with any. I don't want no problems. So I will be back live tonight as soon as that Dark Side of the Ring premiere has concluded. Come on back. For those of you that's going to watch out that season premiere, come on back. Share your reactions to that episode. I'll definitely read your comments. We'll go back and forth with each other off of that show. It'll be good. So at this point, that should be going off at 10 p.m. Eastern. So come on back, 10 p.m. Eastern, and we'll talk about that premiere. All right. Everybody else, for those of you that maybe don't have access to Vice TV and all that. So, maybe if you want, you could come, if you don't have access to Vice, you could come hang out. And you can listen to my thoughts on it and everything. Everybody else, if you got other plans, then your next edition of the RCWR show, at this point, I'll be joining you guys on Monday, May the 10th. Again, Monday, May the 10th. Let's see. Patreon members, we're going to be dropping some content this weekend. Also, be on the lookout for the return of Impact Showdown. Impact Showdown is going to be returning as well. I'm probably going to drop that Impact Showdown episode. Impact is tonight. I'm probably going to drop that episode over the weekend on the free outlets. I know I've been kind of missing the past couple of weeks and everything, but I do have that on the agenda. Hey, you still here? You watched up to this point. Love you. Appreciate you as always. Please, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and click on that bell notification. Select all so you know about more content that's going to be coming your way on a weekly basis. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, D. Thank you, Cooper, Millennial, everybody else that maybe was just quiet, tuning in live. Appreciate you. Appreciate those of you that's going to be checking this out on demand and on the downloads. Till next go round, I'm wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. Again, those of you that's going to be watching the Brian Pillman Dark Side of the Ring premiere, I'll be back here 10 p.m. Eastern. We can bounce off of each other and talk about our overall thoughts about the premiere. All right, everybody else, I'll catch you Monday. All right, y'all.